Hello and welcome to On the Mic, a Zoomcast that spotlights students, services, and staff of Highlands Community Charter and Technical Schools. Highlands offers adults 22 years of age and older the opportunity to earn their high school diploma, learn English as a second language, and learn a skill. My name is Mike Roessler, and today we are joined by Penelope Larry. Penelope, how are you?
Oh, Mike, I'm doing fine. Excellent, as a matter of fact.
So great to meet you for the first time here on Zoom, and also to get a chance to talk to you a little bit. Jay King, as you know, Jay King and I host this radio
Yes.
show on 97.5 KDEE, and he said, man, you have to meet Pastor P. And I said, I want to meet Pastor P. And so,
Wow.
Penelope, where did you get the nickname Pastor P?
Well, my name is Penelope, and so it's difficult for some people to pronounce. And because I am the co-pastor of the Potter's House Church in Del Paso Heights, plug for Potter's House Church, located at 2994 Del Paso Boulevard. And so because I'm the co-pastor there, it was difficult for people to say Pastor Penelope, or it was so long, and people just started calling me by the letter P.
Well, listen, I think that is very cool. I love nicknames, especially when you don't give them to by yourself. I like when other people anoint a nickname. And so, Penelope, you are a student that at Highlands Community Charter Technical Schools in our Equity Initiatives program, correct?
Correct. That's correct. Tell
us, because you have a great story, and listen, everybody has a story, but you have a really great story. And so I want to know, and I'm going to preface this question by saying that you already have a bachelor's degree, you already have a master's degree, but you came back to Highlands to earn your high school diploma. Tell us how that started.
Well, it all started when I was 17 years old. Many moons ago, I ran away from home, and I ran up to the Bay Area because that's where my biological father lived, in Oakland. If he had lived in Chicago, I would have moved to Chicago, but he lived in Oakland, so I stayed there. I dropped out of school where I previously lived in the 11th grade, and so I enrolled in Oakland High School. I was going there for a few months until my dad told me I needed to start paying rent in the apartment which I lived, because he was living in a one-bedroom apartment in one of the buildings that he owned. But he allowed me to stay in this one-bedroom apartment by myself when I was at the age of 17. I just tell you, Mike, I was very popular in high school because I had my own apartment, but I wasn't paying anything to live there. My dad was paying all of my expenses and school expenses, food, everything. And then so one day he came and told me I needed to pay rent, and I didn't believe him. I didn't even really know how to pay rent or how I was going to pay rent. And so I ignored him. The next month he came and told me the same thing. He paid rent, and I ignored him again, kept going to school. And the third month he came and told me if I didn't pay rent the next month that he was going to kick me out. And so because I thought the story was true, I believed him. I started thinking about how I could get money to pay the rent, which was $250 at the time is what he was asking me to do. It doesn't sound like a lot of money today, but at the age of 17 with no work experience, not ever having a job, and $250 was like, that is so much money.
Well, and Penelope, not only did you have to pay rent, but if you weren't living there, then you had to pay for everything else that your dad was paying for already. So It's going to be a heck of a lot more than $250. And listen, I believe you and I are right around the same, so like 1981, 82, something like that?
For my regular graduation, I would have graduated in 1979.
Okay.
If I would have been 18. Today, I'm 59 years old. I'm born in 1963.
Well, let me just say this. You look fantastic. You sound fantastic. And
I feel fantastic.
Yeah. And it shows with that great smile of yours. And so you went through a whole lot of early, so you ran away from home, from Del Paso Heights, correct?
No, I ran away from home. I lived in San Diego.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I was born and raised in San Diego, ran away from San Diego, ran up to Oakland.
Okay. So you moved to Oakland. something wasn't agreeing with you back in San Diego. You left high school, you left home, moved to Oakland, and all of a sudden your dad comes in and says, "Hey, Penelope, I'm going to need $250 from you next month." And you're
Right.
like I'm not quite sure if he's serious or if he's joking. So I'll let it go. And then one more month he comes back and says the same thing, and you're thinking, no, there's no way. And then the third month he comes back and you said, okay, 3 months in a row, he must be serious.
It was a little bit more convincing that third month, I'll just say that. And it was at that point, after seeing how I could get a job, because I was good at typing. I assessed, well, what am I good at? What do I know how to do? So I knew how to type, and I like typing. But when I applied for jobs, they wanted someone full time, and I was only available to work part time because I was going to school. So because I needed to work full time to get a job, I quit high school. That's what happened. I made a decision that I wasn't going to be able to go to school and work. And so I just dropped out of high school. It wasn't a big deal. I just stopped going one day, and I never went back.
And you just thought nothing of it. And so you did not, at that point, when you applied for and got this job that was going to help you pay the bills, that, of course, they didn't require a high school diploma at that point.
Well, they did, but I lied on my application. I checked the box that said I had a high school diploma. They didn't ask for proof of it, or they didn't want to see it. They just asked me if I had one, and I said, yes, I did.
So at that point, you kind of started living as an adult, right? You're paying your own bills and you had a job.
Yes, had a job, bought a car, started living my life. Life was good, smoking weed, figuring stuff out. Didn't like it, smoking cigarettes. That wasn't me either. Tried drugs. That wasn't me, because you spend up your money. I didn't have any money to pay my rent. So I couldn't do a lot of the things that my friends were doing at 17 and 18. I really had to work to get food. My friends come over, eat my food, and then they go home. Their parents brought food, but I wouldn't have any food left for 2 weeks. And so I learned very quickly that make sure I took care of myself and took care of my household. I learned very quickly to be responsible. So.
Right, at 18 years old, you had your own place. I mean,
Right.
That would be the hangout, for all
Right.
you and your friends, right? And so,
Right.
so you were living your life. You were figuring things out. You figured out things that you didn't want to do because it cost money, and you figured out that so you kept going. How long after that, Penelope, did you decide to earn a bachelor's degree?
Well, about 7 years later, so right around the age of 25, I started thinking about I needed to go to school. As a matter of fact, I got a job. I at a psychology consulting firm through a temp agency. I had began to work temp for many of those years. I didn't have a permanent job for about those 7 years. I got, and then I met someone. I met someone on the streets of San Francisco that was offering me a job at an African-American owned psychology consulting firm. And I went to the interview and I got the interview. Well, my boss told me that I could not work there without a degree because they were educated. He felt like I needed to be educated. I guess that's what it was. And so I went and I got my GED. I think I had my GED before I got there because I received my GED right around 23 or 24. That was another story. I was thinking about getting my GED, and just happened to be the place where I was temping had a GED center about 5 minutes away. And so I went in, on my lunch break, I went to pursue my GED, and I did that. It took several months, but I couldn't celebrate it with anyone. I got it, and then I just moved on because I had already lied on my application that I had my high school diploma. I was lying on all the applications that I had my high school diploma, so I couldn't celebrate that I had my GED. I just got in and moved on, like a sense of accomplishment. So now I'm at this psychology consulting firm where my boss is saying to me, you need to be educated to work here. So then I enrolled in Golden Gate University just because I was in San Francisco, and their office was up the street. It was on the same street, just on Brannan or Bryant, but on 2nd Street, and Golden Gate University was on Market. I enrolled there because I wanted to have a degree in marketing. It wasn't
Wow.
really a lot of thought processing to it. It's just what I wanted to do. And I looked at that school and it was close and that was it.
I mean, that's amazing to leave high school, start living your life, know that obtaining your GED was probably a necessary evil, right?
Right.
And then you decided, hey, this job is telling me I need to earn a bachelor's, and so I'm going to go do my bachelor's. And so you got your bachelor's. How long did it take you for your bachelor's degree?
Actually, I had the same experience with my bachelor's degree that I had with my high school diploma, is that I dropped out of school. I did about 3.5 years to get my bachelor's, and then I dropped out 15 units shy of getting my bachelor's degree because my dad had become ill. He actually had a heart attack and was not able to function. And so I decided to take off from school so that I could help him recover. So I did. I said I was going to take off one semester. And so I did. I took off one semester and then he got well. And then right before it was time to begin school again, he had another heart attack. And so I said, well, I'm going to take off another semester and then help him. And then by this time I was starting a small business and it was taking off. And then I decided I was making money. And then I decided I don't need the degree now. So I dropped out of college. I dropped out of college, 15 units short of college, and then still went on with my life. And I'm not certain how many years later, that I re-entered school. But I know that, to answer your question, it took me about 8 years to get my bachelor's degree total. The time that I started, the time that I dropped out, and then the time that I went back. And it's because I met my now current husband, was asking me about my life, where I was doing, what happened, how did I get here? And I'm telling him the story, running away, the GED, don't have the high school diploma, in college now, and didn't finish, but I was doing well. As a matter of fact, I met him while I was working my business. He says, well, you need to go back and finish. He was like, he was the J King of my life at the time.
Right. He was the J King before there was a J King in your life.
That's right. Right. And so he encouraged me to return. I contacted the school back at Golden Gate University, which they call GGU, and told them I wanted to re-enroll. Well, so much time had passed that the program that I had entered in was no longer there. And so they wanted me to re-enter school. So I left needing 5 classes. I would have re-entered needing 11 classes. And I told them, oh, not only is it cost prohibitive, but I don't want to take the time to do that. And my counselor told me to write a letter to the board and to request that I be admitted at the same program that I had left in. And I said, oh, writing, I'm a good writer. I said, oh, I just have to write. I wrote just the truth. I laid it on them. I told them what my story was, how I got there, and how I had been living on my own for so long. And my dad had a heart attack. And I just did that. And long story short, they allowed me to re-enter college at the same, with the same, what they call it, catalog. That's what it's called. Not program, but catalog, with the same catalog that I left. So now I just needed the 5 classes.
Hey, Penelope, how could anybody say no to that story? I mean, really, there was literally no way that anybody could say no to that story. So you met this man who seemed to be a really good influence on you, right?
Right.
And you started a business. What kind of business did you start at the time?
I had a consulting business called administrative support. So I provided administrative support for small and home-based businesses, essentially just typing the same thing that I was doing in my jobs and in the temp agencies. I found that there were a lot of small and home-based businesses, because these were the jobs that I was going to, where they needed some admin support, but they didn't want to pay the fees that were being charged by the temp agencies. And of course, since I'm just one-man band, I could come in a lot lower. So I did, and I grew my company to 12 employees, 2 offices in its heyday, 2 offices in downtown Oakland, and did quite well right before I moved to Sacramento.
Good for you. I mean, that's amazing. And so let's continue on the education path. How long
Okay.
after your bachelor's did you decide to pursue a master's degree?
Right away, I finished the bachelor's. My official graduation date is, or year is 2008. And I received my MBA in 2010.
So it didn't take you very long after
It,
that at
it didn't
all.
take me long. I took the initial, the required 2 years to get my bachelor's.
And
Is
so
it
you earned
2 years?
a
No, no, that's not right. No, I started in 10 and finished in 12. That's what
so
it
you
was.
so you were kind of in the swing of things already. So you just said, let's go. Let's earn an MBA. So you earned an MBA from Governors,
Western
right?
governors.
Western Governors,
Mhm.
and you've been and you're again living your life after your bachelor's degree, after your master's degree, and then at some point in your life, pretty recently, you said, "Wait a second, I don't have, I don't even have a high school diploma."
Interesting. Well, in that, Mike, in the time between the bachelor's and the master's, life happened also. I say life happened because things happened that were traumatic to me during this time. My family and I, we lost our home 2008 in that great big real estate boom. We were one of those people that succumbed to that, moved out of our house. During this time between 2010 and 2012, we lived in 15 different places, including hotels. And all during this time, I was still going to school because Western Governors University is all online. Oh, shoots. Okay. I continued to go to school even though we were moving from place to place. And my husband and I, we had 2 children at the time, ages, they were young, and completed the master's and moved to China in 2012 and lived there for 2 years from 12 to 14. We lived there all this time, and I was teaching over there, and all this time, not having my high school diploma. I hadn't thought about it at all. But when I thought about it, it was 2 weeks before Jay King said something to me. And simply my daughter, who's 18 now, she just graduated Intercom High School last week. Because she was getting ready to graduate, I just said to my husband out of nowhere, I'm going to be the only one in our family without a high school diploma. Because
Wow.
my son, who's 21 now, he had received his high school diploma. My husband, he has his high school diploma. He has a upward, he ended with a terminal degree. He has a JD, and I was not going to have my high school diploma. And 2 weeks after that, Jay King is talking about Highland Charter Schools on 97.5 KDEE. And he was saying it was never too late. And I just mentioned to him, oh, kind of callous. Oh, I don't have my high school diploma, but I have a bachelor's and I have a master's. And I always use that like a defense mechanism to compensate for not getting my high school diploma. It's hindsight. I didn't do that on purpose, but just to assure people that I was adequate, even though I didn't have my high school diploma. No one knew. I was just always, I have a bachelor's and I have a master's.
So they just assumed, Penelope, that you had your high school diploma. That's, I mean, because in society, that's just, hey, it goes high school diploma, you get your bachelor's, and then if you could keep pursuing your master's.
Right. It was an assumption that's always made. I never corrected anyone. I was fine with people assuming that I had one. But in actuality, I was missing something in my life by not having my high school diploma. And I didn't know it because I was just going on with life. But when my counselor, my teacher, Mr. Means, he told me that, I finished, I went and took the final test, and he showed me the wall, I call it the wall of fame. And he said, this is where we put students' names when they finish still. And I said, oh, okay, so this is where my name's gonna go. And he says, well, keep looking. I looked, oh, excuse me, Mike, and I saw my name. I was crying more than this. That day, I felt such a sense of accomplishment. And I've accomplished other things too since dropping out of high school. But for some reason, I don't even know the reason. I don't even know the reason today that I felt such a sense of accomplishment that day. I felt like I had completed something. I felt like I had really did something in my life. I felt vindicated in some sense. And so I've been telling everybody I got my high school.
Listen, Penelope, I absolutely just love that story. And listen, you don't have to know where it comes from, but it's real. We can all, I can tell it's real that emotions come out when you talk about accomplishing something that you didn't way back in the day. I think it's such a great, just a darn good story. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here, because our motto at school is it's never too late. Jay and I host a show on the radio. It's never too late. And it's really never too late to do anything.
That motto fits my story perfectly.
I was just thinking, Penelope, if we looked it up somewhere, if I typed in Google, it's never too late, I quite possibly could see your picture. I mean,
the poster child of It's Never Too Late.
It's so, what a fantastic story that you had. And so tell everyone, what are you currently, what are you doing now?
You know what I'm getting ready to do July 5th is that since I now have my high school diploma, now I'm going to take swimming lessons. And so people think because I grew up in San Diego around the beaches and pools and I know how to swim, and I know how to swim, but I'm not a strong swimmer. And the aquatic park that's built near where I live now has a pool that's 15 feet. And so I'm going to learn to swim, because I told my husband, I said, I have my high school diploma. I can do anything. And so I'm going to learn how to be a strong swimmer. And so what I'm doing right now is I currently have my own business. I've been in business for myself for a while, then usually off and on since I went to college. And I own a men's clothing store. It's a dream that I had in my 20s, many years ago. And I had an opportunity to open up a men's clothing store, and I took it. It was a leap of faith, and I absolutely love it. And what happened, I've taught at the college level. I've taught at Sac State, and I've also taught at San Diego State when we lived in San Diego. I also taught abroad when we lived in China. I taught over there also. Well, when I was teaching at Sac State, I gave my students an assignment to talk about entrepreneurship. Personally, I believe there's a book or a business in everybody. I believe that. And so I gave my students an assignment to talk about entrepreneurship or to create a business in a group. And I told them my story that I wanted to open up a men's shoe store in my 20s. And maybe 2 weeks after that, one of my husband's friends approaches him and says, there's a man that he knows that has a men's clothing store. He's going to sell it. And then we want to buy it. And I give my students that assignment. I wouldn't have thought about it at all. And so I thought about it, and we bought the clothes, opened the store, and I was just teaching part-time at Sac State, and I would get off work, go open the store, work there. until one day I thought I had heard from the Lord to stop working at Sac State. So I didn't begin one spring semester. And so that's what I'm doing now. My store is called Distinguished Gentleman. I am on social media as The Store on Watt. Is 4 words, The Store on Watt, on Instagram and Facebook.
Well, give us, how about another shout out of where it's, give us the address.
The address is 5801 Watt Avenue in North Highlands. Well, and as a matter of fact, life is happening with my store also. And so where my store is currently located, the building is undergoing some major construction. It was supposed to be minor. It turned into major. And so now I'm actually not open. My brick and mortar is not open. And we are currently pivoting to, I say we because I have a team, pivoting to home visits and personal styling and fashion shows. And so that's what we're doing right now. So we're going to be at a fashion show. I don't know when this is going to air, but no, I don't know. We're going to be at a fashion show Juneteenth and something else in July. So I'm excited about that. And as we look for a new location.
Boy, I mean, we could probably talk for a couple hours, through dinner or something here. And so, I mean, I think you're fascinating, Penelope. And I think I love that idea of swimming lessons.
Thank you.
I just think it's great. Back when I was a teenager, I used to teach swimming lessons. And I just think it's so important for everybody to understand how to be around water and how to, get out of water, right? And get around water. And so I find that so satisfying that based on, hey, I went back to earn my high school diploma at 59 years old. Why not take swimming lessons at 59 years old, right?
At 59, yes. I would be a strong swimmer at 59. And interestingly enough, I recall when I was around 9, maybe 8 or 9, our neighbors, my cousin's neighbor, as a matter of fact, my cousin's neighbor's son drowned in their swimming pool. And it shook me. And so I really didn't like being around water all these years. And that really is the reason why I don't like being around water. And so, but I made my children nervous about being around water. But so I made sure my children knew how to swim. So, but I didn't take care of myself. And now that I have my high school diploma, I'm going to learn how to swim too. It's never too late for that.
You know what, Penelope, you just took the words right out of my mouth. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the mic is because Highlands is having a graduation on June 30th. Should I expect to see you there, Penelope?
You should, in high heels. I will be there. At first, I was feeling embarrassed about walking, and because I didn't have the whole high school experience. I didn't go to prom. I didn't go to senior night. I didn't graduate. And I felt a little some kind of way having that experience now at 59. But that was before I got the diploma. Once I got it, I said, I'm doing everything. So I'm going to be there on June 30th.
It feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Penelope, but it feels like when Malcolm Means, your teacher at the Equity Initiatives, pointed you towards that wall and said, keep looking, that it kind of opened up all these emotions.
That's exactly right. I felt a weight lift off of my shoulders. I felt a weight lift that I didn't know was on me. And that's how light I felt. I called my husband when I left. I called Jay King when I left. I announced that we have a prayer line at our church. I announced it on there. I was elated. I still am. I'm excited.
And I can tell, Penelope, I can tell. Hey, listen, Penelope, what's some words of advice that you would give anybody that maybe skipped out on earning their high school diploma and like you said, could be living with a weight they don't even know about?
I would say, free yourself to be yourself. So you really don't know who you are until you are completely free. And you don't know that you're bound until you finish something that you started. So if you started school, finish school. And as your motto says, it's never too late. It doesn't matter if you're 59, 69, 79, or 29. It's never too late. Go do it.
Well said. Penelope, I really loved having you on the mic today. I certainly wish you the very best, and I look forward to seeing you in person on June 30th at graduation.
It's at 6 o'clock, right?
It is at 6 o'clock at the Calvary Christian Center in Sacramento, right on Del Paso Boulevard.
Okay.
We're expecting a whole bunch of students to graduate. Once again, we have graduations twice a year, and we look forward to seeing you on the stage.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for inviting me for On the Mic, and I will see you on the stage on June 30th.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.